What's good, fam? It's Tuesdays with Tawana. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We are in the building today with Tuesdays with Tawana. And I want to open up with this quote by beloved Corey Whitfield, who I had the honor to meet and befriend while I was in Denver. She is an educator and an activist, and she posted this the other day, and it has just resonated with me since last week, and I wanted to share it with you on today as we focus on the topic dismantle this ish. So she says decolonizing means we understand Thanksgiving is not a celebration of the unity of pilgrims and indigenous peoples, but a celebration of indigenous genocide, erasure, and colonization. It is time. It is overdue. It is time we unlearn and heal so that we no longer collude. And it's hashtag gather with family but stay rooted in truth. Hashtag may we heal together and get free. This is Dr. Tad with you on today in the building, welcoming you to another Tuesdays with Tawana. I got to be very honest with you, as I always am. I don't even know why I preempted this coming statement with that. But I am tired, and I started not to have our time together today. And then I said, no, this space gives me energy. This space gives me life. This space gives me joy. It brings me joy. And it's just such an honor and a privilege to build community with you every Tuesday that I can. And you engage and you show up and you show out, and I am grateful. So if you are joining us for the first time live or later on via podcast, the way we rock on this show is I don't talk to you for the full half an hour. I insert your narrative in the comments. I insert your narrative by reading your comments. I am always looking forward to questions, comments, responses, and amen or and I don't agree. And we learn to agree to disagree and still hold space for each other in this beloved space. So again, this is Dr. Tad with Tuesdays with Tawana. So let's get it popping as we talk about dismantling this ish. There's a lot going on in this world, a lot. And it's nothing new. Hey, Christina, always a blessing to see you, my beloved. I can't wait to see you face to face really, really soon. Hey, Jules, good to see you. I'm glad to be here. Thank you. Thank you. So it's a lot to talk about today. So again, feel free to pop comments or shout me out in the chat, and I'll be happy, and it'll just be an honor to insert your voice into this narrative. But I want to begin, and I want to begin with a quote from W.E.B. Du Bois. Hearts up to you, Javon. What's going on, sweetie? I want to start with W.E.B. Du Bois, The Souls of Black Folk. And as you can see, I've had this book for a very long time. My dad actually gave me this book years and years and years and years and years ago. So the pages, you can't really see the pages, but they're kind of like brown, and if I turn the page too hard, a page is going to fall out. But I want to read this quote to get us started as we build community while we dismantle the BS that's going on, the dehumanization, the disrespect, the genocide, the wars, the capitalism, and all the list goes on and on and on. But we have to live and show up in this nation, right? So W.E.B. Du Bois talks about, he says, and I may use inclusive language, so all respect to W.E.B. Du Bois, but I want to use inclusive language, so I may replace some of these words with inclusive words. Hey, Elaine, hearts to you too. Thank you for joining today. So W.E.B. Du Bois says, it is a peculiar sensation, it is a peculiar sensation, this double consciousness, this sense of always looking at oneself through the eyes of others, a measuring one's soul by the tape of a world that looks on in amused contempt and pity. One never feels one's two-ness, an American and a black beloved, two souls, two thoughts, two unreconciled strivings, two warring ideals in one dark body, whose dogged strength alone keeps it from being torn asunder. So he talks about our strength. I love you too, Elaine. He talks about our strength, and he talks about how our strength has sustained us, our resilience has sustained us to this point. So one thing I want to note is one thing that just gets on my nerves. We are a part of the Black diaspora. It is not about skin color or skin tone, if you will, because the Black diaspora comes in various hues, from the color of these pages in this very old book to the writing that's behind the white words to everything in between. So when I hear Black people say I am brown, that is being colonized because you don't want to associate yourself with the color Black, which is a problem, because if we don't embrace, acknowledge, and humanize ourselves, how can we then humanize others? How can we build community without dehumanizing one another? Hey, Miss Odessa, always good to see you. I loved seeing your pictures on social media. Thank you for always sharing. Hey, brother, always good to see you, brother. I love you dearly. 9. So, of course, Alexa wants to talk to me in the midst of my show. Rude. So, hey, brother. Dr. Natasha Robinson, Natasha Robinson Esquire. If y'all don't follow this beloved sister right here, let me put her up one more time. She is a prominent lawyer. She is on Court TV. We are a part of a Pink Robe Chronicles family, tribe, beloveds. Amazing. Absolutely amazing. She inspires me. She inspires community. She speaks truth to power. And this is exactly what we do on this show because of people like Dr. Natasha Robinson and others who continue to pour into me, to encourage me to read, to encourage me to look beyond what I see, to encourage me to be a thought provoker, to encourage me to be faithful, to encourage me to dig deep and to honor myself before I put others before my own needs. She's amazing, and it's an honor. It's an honor. So, as we talk about the souls of Black folk and dismantling this ish, right? So some of our Black beloveds, call themselves brown because they want to disassociate themselves from the color Black. And that's annoying. 9. That's annoying. And so is Alexa, because she's about to get unplugged. Okay. So, hey, this is live, right? This is what happens when you live. I don't edit. Everything is just raw and uncut on Tuesdays with Tawana. So we take all of the stuff that happens in between, whether it's technical problems or Alexa all in my business. I'm surprised Siri ain't jumping there yet. But anyway, so the challenge and the quote that I read from Corey Whitfield at the beginning talks about decolonization, and specifically talks about this holiday called Thanksgiving. Now, we live in a nation where, unfortunately, Thanksgiving was about genocide. It wasn't about this skipping through the tulips and the pilgrims and the colonizers came together and got along, and we shared land and we shared resources and we shared love and honor and dignity. It has a heinous, nasty, horrific history. But yet, because we have been colonized here in the United States, and we were forced to leave our culture and the way we show up in the world and our divine prowess back when they stole us from our native land, which, by the way, is a continent and not a country. Just a little dig about something I read and heard the other day from a colonizer. So when we celebrate Thanksgiving, for me, and please chime in, for me, celebrating on those days is an opportunity for me to shift the narrative, right? To remember, to call out the indigenous people, to call out the land that I'm on wherever I am celebrating, to take time out to spend time with family that normally has time off during that time where we can all get together. Unfortunately, living in a capitalist society, we don't get to take time off when we feel like taking time off. You know, we're given certain days and we have blackout days. And when you work in corporate America, you may not even have days to take off because of unjust treatment of employees, like with Amazon and other organizations. I don't know if Walmart has redeemed themselves, but Walmart used to be that way. And so, you know, taking time off was like, what? Who gets time off? I take off, I don't get paid. So anyway, I digress. So being able to get together with family and remembering the true reason of how Thanksgiving was developed, and being able to use our divine prowess to shift that narrative for us to come together, and not only on Thanksgiving, but to be very intentional about getting together as a family, full stop, period, at any time, whether it is birthdays. Some of us don't celebrate birthdays, so it might be just getting together on the fourth Sunday of every month, or creating our own family time, creating our own holidays, if you will, in our own way, in our own divine prowess, in our own creativity. Because what's happening is, and so many people were like, happy Thanksgiving, happy Thanksgiving. One, I'm grateful every day because the mere fact that I have an opportunity to be with you on Tuesdays with Tawana today on November 29th on my 101 episodes of Tuesdays with Tawana, I am grateful every day. I am grateful I am able to breathe. I am grateful that I can see the sunrise. I am grateful for the leaves falling off the trees. I am grateful for the food in my refrigerator. I am grateful to have an opportunity to spend time with you, to build community so that we do not dehumanize people the way other people try to throw us away and dehumanize us. So with this double consciousness, we have a challenge today. We have a challenge to figure out how we're going to show up in this world without conforming or colluding in a narrative that is dehumanizing to us, or degrading, or misaligned with our divine prowess, or marginalizing, or oppressive. I was watching a clip from our beloved Toni Morrison the other day, and she talks about, you know, I stand on the margins and then those come to me. My energy, my beauty, my skills, my gifts attract those to come to me and stand on the margins with me. And Father Boyle from California says, when you stand on the margins disappear. So how do we make those margins disappear? How do we make Thanksgiving no longer be the Thanksgiving that's rooted in hate, but more of a gathering with family it rooted in love and remembering those who had to deal with the heinous acts of a genocide. Speaking of which, let's see what Elaine has to say. So grateful for your spirit. So grateful for, let me move this up, sorry, for your spirit and being. You are powerful and blessed and clear and divine. And I love you, Elaine. You definitely played a huge part in my life over the last 7 years as my writing professor, you know, as I was pursuing my PhD. So I am so grateful for you. And you were just always so real. Again, exemplifying what it is to be humble and to just, you know, love what you do and to share in community and to speak the truth and want everyone to love and build community. So I thank you for being my dear friend, my professor, an ally, a comrade, a co-conspirator. I'm grateful. I'm so grateful. So as we're talking about that, so when we look back, right, and we realize that, you know, Thanksgiving or you know, Christmas or whatever, people will say, you know, it's made up out of just dates that are chosen, or it's born out of genocide, and now we celebrate it as if it's something that started in love. So we have an opportunity to shift that narrative. We also have an opportunity to have a Sankofa moment. We have an opportunity to look back at our ancestors to see what they did in order for us to be here today. Because this is nothing new. This bullshit with Elon Musk is nothing new. Jeff Bezos, nothing new. We just learned that Jerry, I'm not a Dallas fan. Sorry, Larry. I love you, brother. I know you're a Dallas fan, but I'm about to call out your owner right now. So he was in the crowd during the time of the civil rights movement, and you know, while they were yelling, it was during oh gosh, it was the integration of schools, Little Rock 9. Chemo brain, it's real. So, and he was there, and he admits to being there, and he admits to being there as a bystander. But those of you who have taken Facing Racism knows that a bystander that that we talk about for liberation is bystanders to help us get free. For instance, if someone is a person of color is being improperly treated by the police, it may not be safe for that white person to go and say something, and sometimes they do. They're co-conspirators and comrades, but sometimes we need a bystander to stand there and record, because 9 times out of 10 the police might not even notice them standing there recording, or they'll let them do it. But let a black person do it, then I'm also going to jail, or I'm getting my phone confiscated. So there is a good way to be a bystander. In this case, it seems as if he was a bystander when our black beloveds were being attacked because of the integration of schools. But my point is, we got to look back at what our ancestors have done, and in Sankofa, you look back and you bring forth that which is good, that which is divine, that which will bring us to a place where we can look forward in this and see ourselves in the future. Larry said, "I hear you, sis. Shout him out." Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Christina says bystanding is equal to compliance. Yes, that can be a definition. Absolutely. And that's what he was doing. There are times, though, when we do need our white people to be bystanders, to be witnesses, because it's not just standing by as bystanders in support of what is happening to our black beloveds and then doing something about it. Sharing the video with the media, or speaking out to the media, or using it as evidence, and doing something with it. So absolutely, Christina, we don't want compliance. We don't want complacency. Tanisha, hey Tony, I'm glad you made it. Always glad you made it. Yes, Christina. So that is, and that's stuff, you bring up a good point, Christina, because now we not only gotta fight to live, but then we gotta figure this shit out, right? We gotta figure out, well, who's really an ally? Who's a bystander? And even for our black beloveds, who can I trust? Who honors me as a woman? Who is still saying that I should keep silent? Who is saying that I should be subservient? Who is saying that I should be at home barefoot? Well, definitely not pregnant. So who is saying those things? And in the midst of all of that, fighting to live against the systemic norms that are established here in the United States that continue to dehumanize me and degrade me. Right? So we now got to figure out how to show up in the world in this double consciousness, still being black, still being of African descent, and yet being a part of a nation that was built on the blood and tears and the killing and genocide of our First Nation, Indigenous, Native Americans, or Indians, Native Americans, First Nation, Indigenous, which I learned, by the way, during a training session. It depends on where you are in the United States, how Native Americans or First Nation, Indigenous prefer to be called. So it's always good to ask someone instead of assuming, how do you show up in the world? And how would you like me to name you and to say your name and to name your culture, and not just assume that all people who were on this nation that wasn't America when they were here, how they would like to be referenced and honored and called out and speaking life into their culture. Hey, Dr. Bradford, good to see you as always. So this double consciousness is, how do we show up in the world without being, as Reverend Christina said, complacent or compliant, or as Corey Whitfield said, colluding with the enemy, if you will. Doing the showing up in a way that a white person or colonizer or racist or white supremacist would want me to show up. Very meek and mild and conforming to whatever ills are going on in the world, and identifying me or labeling me as lazy or stupid or ugly or whatever derogatory names, and conforming to that. How do we show up and push back, even though we are in this place called America, where we were born into this mess? So how do we dismantle this ish? How do we tear it down so we can build back up something that looks like, feels like, smells like, sounds like unity, that sounds like love, that feels like dignity, that feels like community? How do we dismantle this? And one way is knowing the power that we have in the Black diaspora. We do have, we have financial power. We really do. It's just that our financial power is dispersed in so many different ways. We need to come together and use it for a common cause. Like voting for Reverend Raphael Warnock, Senator Raphael Warnock, and putting some money, chip in $5. Chip in 20. I know he's not perfect. None of us are perfect. But he sure is perfect when you compare him to his contender, which I won't even waste my breath on that. Thank you, Dr. Bradford. Appreciate it. It means a lot coming from you. As a descendant of an indigenous native, and as I got older, I learned the truth and took some joy out of Thanksgiving, out of me. Used to read Pilgrim's Progress every year until I was awakened. Thank you, Christina. And you know what? There's nothing wrong with saying, this is how I was brought up. This is how I was colonized. This is how I was taught under the colonization and white supremacy and dehumanization and thinking less of myself and not loving myself and being ashamed of myself. I shared this story with you about being a darker skinned woman and thinking and believing, my self-esteem was shot because I had people calling me names and just saying horrible things to me until I learned how to love myself as I am. So take me as I am, because this is me. I'm not trying to lighten my skin. I'm not trying to hide. I'm not trying to be ashamed of it. It is beautiful. It is divine. And I'm going to show up like this every day. And I'm going to teach people how to treat me, because now I know what it's like to be loved and to be honored and to be respected. So now I can teach others how to do it. So I could call you in if you come at me sideways. That's how we dismantle ish. We got to call it out, but we got to call it out. And the only reason why, one of the many reasons why I have the strength and the courage to call it out is because I know I got a village. I was about to say a really bad word. I got a village and a tribe behind me that got my back. And I know this. There are some that don't, so don't rock with me then. It's okay. I got a whole lot of people that do. So I can go before, and testify before the House and the Senate, or I can do Tuesdays with Tawana and spread it around to the world, if you will, right? I can say these things, and I'm exemplifying what it is, how we speak truth in love, but we speak truth for freedom. We speak truth for liberation. We don't speak truth to placate or to deal with somebody's sensitive self. Go have a minute. Go have, if you need to cry or your feelings are hurt or whatever, and then let's heal together. So we got to call it out. Just because you didn't have slaves doesn't mean that you don't benefit from the way you treated African Americans, Black people, people of African descent back in the time when we were enslaved. You are still benefiting from that today, Elon Musk. And then you want to spend $40 billion. I was listening to Alyssa Milano earlier today. He spent $40 billion for Twitter. He could have sent $40 billion and sent $1 billion to each country that is hungry. Even here in the United States, do you know how many children go hungry every single day? How many families don't have food? And you can take even 500 million to make a difference. And y'all mofos want to, make all this money and treat your employees bad and bring in all this white supremacy. But you know what? We're too powerful for that. We're too powerful for that. So we got to dismantle that. So I got off Twitter. I don't need it. I lived 50-something years without it. Don't need it. Done. And next will be the next social media platform. I'm surprised I'm still on Facebook, but you know what? As entrepreneurs, we need social media to kind of get our word out there. And our Black social media markets either dwindle and fail, or they're a smaller market because we're just not supporting them. And that is so. We'll support a white organization, or we'll buy something from. We'll spend thousands of dollars on a white creative bag, and we won't support Telfar, or we won't support Tote and Carry because it's too expensive. I spend my money on Black Dollars, Harlem Underground, t-shirt, probably like $20-$30. Yeah, I could have went to another place and got a t-shirt for $10, but I want to invest in Black business. So why, Black business is more expensive? Because less people are supporting them. Their quality actually is much better. So you get what you pay for, and we got to come together. and rally around, because if we're in an inflation and we're dealing with all of this, and all of this is happening because of capitalism, not because of the Democrats or the Republicans or anybody in between. It is because of capitalism and those people who have money who want to continue to cheat the system. And not, I pay more taxes than number 45. It don't make no sense. Help me make it make sense. The math ain't mathing. It ain't mathing. I tell you. We do, and we need to generate it more amongst us, worthy causes and creating generational wealth. Absolutely. Absolutely. Show up, and as you teach others how to show up. Absolutely. Yeah, Dr. Bradford, I know y'all got me. I know that. I feel it. I feel it in my bones. That's why I'm here today. Thank you, God. Christina said, we speak truth to power, to grow, to learn, heal, and transform. Tanisha said, what is Twitter? LOL. Tanisha also said, we need a brilliant Black person to build our own platform. Absolutely. Yes. Come on, Tote and Carry. Yes. Just ordered another bag today because I'll be traveling for a long time and I needed another suitcase. So I went on to Tote and Carry and it was on sale and I was very excited. Tanisha said 45 does not pay taxes. Hilarious. Christina said there is a Black-owned app that promotes Black-owned business similar to TikTok called Blamazon. That is hilarious. I will look into that and I will continue to share that on my networks. Absolutely. So when we talk about this double consciousness, we can choose to show up in all of our Blackness, all of our power, all of our divinity, all of our beauty. We show up. We show up in a way that honors who we are and does not conform to the ills of this society. Is it a risk? Is it hard? Is it challenging? Yes, yes, yes. And we got to do it. We got to dismantle this ish. We got to dismantle what they're doing to our children in schools. We got to dismantle the fact that 85% of white women are on clinical trials and only 15% of people of color are on clinical trials, while Black women are dying at 41% more than white women as it relates to breast cancer. The math ain't mathing. It ain't mathing. We got to dismantle that. We got to dismantle what is happening in our government and how we are giving power to this one person, number 45, to gather up all his minions so that they can get back in office and take away all of our rights because they think white is right and any other ethnic group, cultural group is a threat to their being and to their money and their power. I don't want your money. I don't want your power. I want you to pay taxes. I want you to leave me the hell alone. I ain't do nothing to you. I want you to leave me alone. I want you to leave the Black diaspora, the indigenous First Nation people, our people of color, leave us alone. We don't care about you, period. If you don't have love for us, I don't have the energy to share, to spend on you. Now, let me preface this by saying it's not all white people. I know that sounds very cliche-ish, but it is not all white people, just like all skin folk ain't kinfolk. So let's just call out that truth. Clarence Thomas, Herschel Walker, Candace Owens. Let's call that out. So when I talk about white people, I am talking about white supremacy, white power, support of Nazi ideology. I am talking about those who feel that my skin color or believe that my skin color is a threat that continues to dehumanize me or degrade me. I am talking to you. Now, for my white allies, bystanders, comrades, co-conspirators, and friends who are a part of those who have my back, who are in their religious institutions changing the game, who are at the boardroom and at the table pushing back, who are at the holiday table calling out that racist relative. That's what I'm talking about. When I talk about us building community, it's not about just building community. Black beloveds here, indigenous folk here, Chicanos here, people of no, and this whole, we 3 minutes over, but I got to keep going, and I have some comments. Another thing that I learned during this training, by the way, I am now a certified domestic violence advocate. I'm very grateful for that. I learned a lot during this 40-hour training. So I got my certificate, and I'm very grateful for that, because now I can help even more people who are experiencing domestic violence. So we all got to do this together. We can't do this in silos, right? And a lot of the names that people, the colonizers give us, like the word Hispanic is not a word. It's just a way to lump all of, not everybody's from Latin America. Come on, let's get the geography together. Let's get our, social studies together. You have people from Portuguese, you have, I mean, the list goes on and on and on. So they decided to say, well, let's call all of them Hispanic. And then for the black people, we're going to start with nigger, then Negro, then colored, and then African American, and then black. We kind of took back our power and said no, because African American then it doesn't include those who are not in America. What about our Afro Brazilian people and Afro Caribbean people and African Cuban people and so on and so forth? So when we say black, it is an empowering statement to bring all of us from African descent together. So not all of us are African American. So we gotta dismantle that ish. Audre Lorde, I say it, I'll say it every time. If I don't define myself, I will be crunched into other people's fantasies and eaten alive. Why should I let you say who I am and how I should show up in the world? Double consciousness. Listen, if y'all didn't read this book, The Souls of Black Folk by W.E.B. Du Bois, despite it's definitely written in male voice, patriarchal voice, and if you can get past that, read this book. Let's see what our beloveds have to say. Tanisha said, runs to Blamazon. Yes, we're about to start a revolution for sure. Tanisha said that Reggie's nurse told us they don't give our people hearts, so Reggie was a celebrity on the ward. My God, today. For those of you who don't know, Tanisha's husband had a heart transplant, and Tanisha has definitely been an activist and an advocate for being a donor, and she journeyed through the healing process with her husband like the divine trooper that she is, and yeah, thank you, Tony, for all that you bring to this world. Christina said, my Lord, today the math ain't mathing with black women dying during and after childbirth because they're not being listened to. We know our bodies. Say that, please. Yes, leave us be. Tanisha says, if the shoe fits, it fits. If it doesn't, then get out of your feelings and go find another shoe. We ain't catering to nobody's feelings. Do not get mad. Check your privilege. Check your privilege at the door. Check your privilege at the door. Yes, yes. We get some amens and some yeses. And Christina said people need to learn the difference between race, nationality, and ethnicity. Yes, that's right. Tanisha says dismantle the system to transform it. Reformation is a joke of a band-aid. Reformation is a joke of a band-aid. Yeah, we got to dismantle it, beloveds. We got to dismantle this ish. And the only way to dismantle it is for us to come together in community and to be beloved who are very different, but we are Ubuntu. I am because you are. So I am who I am, but I am who I am because of who you are and because of who we are. A person is a person because of persons. Like, I mean, if we just listen to these African proverbs and the wisdom of the Honorable late Archbishop Desmond Tutu, we would learn so much. So much. So if it ain't voting, it's opening schools. It's fighting for funding for schools. It's making sure that we talk about cancer and diabetes and hypertension and all of that and how we can beat that. How we with the violence in our communities. I'm so sick of, people judging people who are in impoverished communities. Their spirits aren't impoverished. It's the system that has caused this redlining and these impoverished communities by design. And if you put people who are lacking and don't have the basic necessities together, then they are going to do what they need to do by any means necessary to survive. So let us not judge. Let us go in and begin to make change to make sure everybody eats. Everybody eats. Okay, I know y'all don't like the, squeegee beloveds that are out there hustling, making a dollar. Don't judge. You don't that could be their money for their meal for the day to feed their family because they're too young to get a job, or they dropped out of school because they couldn't afford to go to school because the nearest school you had to get on the bus, and to get on the bus you got to pay bus fare, and they just don't have it. So it's a matter of paying bus fare or a matter of eating. And then when they get to school, they got to deal with bullying, and they got to be all rough and tough or a part of a gang because they don't have yees on, and which we shouldn't be wearing anyway because we don't support behavior that demeans and degrades another group or even us. Wearing shirts, White Lives Matter and all. We got to stop supporting the craziness. We got to stop supporting that. We need to support things that are giving our communities life and not causing dissension and division. We got to dismantle this shit. Dismantle it. And then we take the broken pieces and we put it back together and we begin to build. Each one teach one, each one reach one, lifting as we climb. We do this together. Our ancestors started it. And one of the quotes that I just can't stand is, I'm not my ancestors or whatever, something about these, you'll get these hands. You wouldn't have been able to survive what they survived. The whippings, the beatings, the hosing, the lynching, literal lynching. Couldn't drink from the same fountain, couldn't be seen in another area. That time was totally different, and they were gully. And many of them survived. So we need to take some of that strength that Du Bois talks about, how we were able to survive because of our strength. Tanisha says, and they started getting suspended in pre-K and putting that damn pipeline towards prison. Listen, if you don't follow Dr. Rosemary Allen, please follow Dr. Rosemary Allen. She has a website, rosemaryallen.com. She is a national speaker and she talks about dismantling childhood suspensions. She has a pyramid model. She also teaches early childhood educators. I'm a part of her training team. So we talk to school districts. Like one presentation, I had like 250 people on a Zoom call presenting about implicit bias, microaggressions, culturally responsive teaching, trauma informed teaching. And so Rosemary Allen, yeah, if you are interested in your school district having someone come in and train our teachers, our early childhood educators, please reach out to Rosemary Allen. She has an amazing prowess, just a divine spirit, and her presentation is, I think, it's for everybody. It's not only for childhood educators, but it is for everybody. So I mentioned that because Tanisha mentioned the school to prison pipeline. Devin says, my beloved, dear friend who looked out for me. Yeah, we'll talk about that time at annual conference another time. But or they have been criminalized and employment is difficult. Yes, going back to the squeegee beloveds. Yeah, so it's not just, why are they there? What are we doing to help them? What are we doing to help them and their families? What are we doing to make sure that they don't have to do what they do and put themselves at risk and put others at risk? Because it becomes a very tense situation when you hungry and you trying to get that dollar and somebody's telling you no. I'm not excusing bad behavior or violence. I'm not. What I am trying to do is what Paolo Freire talks about, this epistemological curiosity. What makes you do what you do? How do you be? How you show up in the world? It's in trying to understand so that we can journey together toward healing. It's a way of knowing, right? Epistemology is a way of knowing. And even ontology is the way of being. So, how are you showing up in the world and why? What is informing your decisions? How is that happening? Christina says that people say that they have no true understanding of the resilience and radicalness of our ancestors, had grinding glass in their sugar, fighting to stay alive and survive for their children. Yes. Tanisha said, runs to her page for quotes from my dissertation. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Hey, Jackie. So good to see you, beloved. So with that, I know we took some extra time, but this is stuff that we just got to talk about and engage. This is not just me just ranting. It's ranting with a purpose, with creating a space for us to heal and name those things so that we can move forward and dismantle this while we are healing, while we are dealing with layers of trauma and healing those traumas and healing those triggers and healing the environments that we have to live in every day. I should not have to keep watching my back when I get in my car, or if I'm driving down the street and it's dark and I'm going to the supermarket. I should not have to worry about that being in a predominantly white neighborhood. That is not what this nation claimed to be. And clearly, all of these constitutions and amendments and all this other shit, it wasn't meant for us. We weren't in mind when it was written. Because if it were, then the Constitution wouldn't call Native Americans savages. So let's get that out. And we're still fighting the word slavery in our state constitutions and our national constitution. So shout out to Kamal, Clarence, aka Clarence Allen, who is continuing to fight the good fight and go to each of these states and making sure there is something on the ballot that says remove the word slavery from the Constitution. I know it's just removing a word, but it also becomes a way of being, because words have power. So when we speak these words right now, and when slavery is in the Constitution, it gives people an excuse to then treat people and enslave them, like the new Jim Crow. Our criminal justice system and our jails and all that have become profit the moguls. Like, they're making a lot of money off of people and paying people $1 a day or $1 an hour or whatever it is. It's sad. It's sad. So when we remove slavery out of the Constitution, then we have something to fight for, to say this is not right. Not only is it immoral, but it is now illegal, and it is against our human rights. So with that, we share all this information so we can begin to dismantle this stuff and tear it down so that we can rebuild this just egalitarian system where we all can be a part of it, because it's not just about it's about focusing and freeing and liberating our Black beloveds, particularly our Black women, and then everybody gets free. I'm telling you, you focus, because we have been now this is not Oppression Olympics. We're going to talk about that another time. But the numbers don't lie. We die at the hands of systemic ills collectively more than any other group. 44 cents an hour our beloveds are making while they're incarcerated. Hey, Timothy, good to see you, brother. The criminal sister is slavery revamp. Absolutely. Absolutely. So with that, I do hope that we will continue these conversations here in our families, in our communities, and in our nation, so that we can begin to dismantle this ish, so that we can rebuild with all of us in mind, so we can be free. We can be liberated from the things that continue to keep us in bondage, that continue to have us struggling with our two-ness, as W.E.B. Du Bois says, that continues to create a space for us to struggle with this double consciousness, making us feel guilty because we don't have an established, a positive history, if you will, in this country, the inception of this country. We have made great healing strides and positive strides, and we still have work to do. And beloveds, our ancestors are looking for us to do that, and they are with us. We call their names and we ask for guidance, just like when we're cooking that family dinner and we say, how much seasoning do you use? When the ancestors tell me to stop. When the ancestors tell me to stop, then I'm good. There's no measuring half a cup of this. Nah, when the ancestors tell me it's ready, we ready. And I think the ancestors are telling us, oh, it's about time for us to have our Sankofa moment so that we can move forward, learn from the past, so we don't have to reinvent the wheel. We can pick up from where they left off and do great things to dismantle this horrific behavior and move forward to greatness, the greatness that we are designed to be. So, beloveds, I loved engaging in this conversation. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for your comments. Thank you for being present. Thank you for always supporting Tuesdays with Tawana. I'm Dr. Tad. I love y'all to the moon and beyond. I'll see you. Nope, not next week, because I'll be traveling to a conference next week. Probably the next week, and then we'll take a break for the holidays so we can get some rest. A book I recommend, Rest is Resistance, Trisha Hersey. Please make sure you pick that up and maybe read it over the holidays so you'll realize the importance of rest and really define what rest is. Rest is more than sleep. So I encourage you to take care of you. These seasons are not, this season is not easy for everybody. People have lost a lot of loved ones. There's just events that may have happened during this time that isn't so joyful. So let us just be loving and be mindful of that. Like, and everybody doesn't celebrate Christmas. You know, our Black diaspora has various spiritual prowess and religious beliefs, and let's just honor one another and meet each other where we are to journey toward healing and being present for each other during this time. Remember the domestic violence hotline, because domestic violence increases, especially during the holiday. It has increased over COVID, and now it's going to increase even further during the holidays. And also death by suicide. So 988, three simple numbers. Call if you need help, or if you know of someone that needs help. Please, please, there are so many different ways that we can build community and be there for one another. So please keep these numbers in mind and show up for people, and let's remove the judgment, and let's call it curiosity. Because then when we're curious and we realize the essence of a person and how they show up, then we can show compassion and dignity and journey with them, because now we know what to heal, or now we know how to create spaces to heal. Because let us not think too highly of ourselves, right? Thinking I could just go and just heal the world. I wish I could, because I would, because that's how much I love my beloveds. So with that, it's Tuesdays with Tawana with Dr. Tad. It's a blessing to have you here. I won't see you next week. See you the following week. All right? Peace.